Welcome back into the mental game where this week's guest is model Emma Brooks.
I just didn't have anyone to kind of believe me. So that sucked and it made me feel really alone.
And in this episode, Emma opens up about living her dream as a model at New York Fashion Week, seeing herself on billboards, and just getting to do everything she's ever wanted since she was a kid. But she also opens up about struggling with her mental health, getting made fun of for wanting to be a model when she was a kid back in Louisiana, and struggling with anxiety and suicidal thoughts. All of that and much, much more coming up in this amazing conversation. But first, I want to tell you about Man Therapy. And guys, I am talking to you because, look, we have to be comfortable talking about our mental health and being vulnerable. And that's why I want you to go to mantherapy.org today to find amazing tools and resources to best take care of your mental health. But now it is time for the latest episode here on The Mental Game with Emma Brooks. Welcome back into the mental game. As you can see, sitting next to me, I got a very special guest, model Emma Brooks. Thanks so much for coming on the mental game.
Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, this is great. And as soon as you walked into the studio, I said Louisiana, right?
Yeah.
Because you're from Houma. I spent some time in Baton Rouge as a reporter at LSU during my sports reporter days. And so you don't see a lot of Louisiana people out here in LA.
No, especially people that know my hometown.
See, that's the when you're from or you spent some time in the boot. I mean, like, people don't understand that part of the country. It's like so homey. The food's amazing. The people are awesome. And obviously, like LSU and Saints football, people absolutely love it.
Oh, love it. I love it. It's so fun. It's great.
Well, I love that connection. I'm really excited to get into your story. You moved out here to LA to pursue modeling at 18 years old, I think. And so I want to go through your story with that, with dance, your early life, mental health. But the first thing I start with everyone is, what does mental health mean to you? And it's a tricky question because it's a very individual thing to each and every one of us. But I'll ask you the same thing. What does mental health mean to you?
I think that's something, mental health. I don't know if this makes sense, but it's kind of like a waiting game. Like, because my whole thing with it is patience.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of like, just constantly just kind of like taking it as it comes and paving your way through it and giving yourself that time and patience. So I don't know if it's a negative I don't mean it as a negative connotation whenever I say waiting game, but it does feel like that sometimes, because sometimes you just have to wait out the bad moments to get to the good.
I like that way. And that's it's the first time I've heard that on this show. You could have said it's a mental game too. We could have plugged the show, but it's okay. We're good there.
It's okay.
I agree with that because you have to just go with the flow. You never know what's going to happen. And I tell people two things with mental health. Number one, do something. If you're feeling, a certain way, you're sad, anxious, please do something. Call someone, ask for help. But number two, and it gets to the point you're making, is feelings are temporary. You think that like something might be the end of the world in one moment, but it's really not. Now, when you're in that crisis, you might not understand that. And so I love that, perspective of just having patience and getting through that moment.
Yeah.
For you, I did my homework because I'm a reporter. Like I said, from a small town in Louisiana. Did you always have like bigger dreams in Louisiana?
Yeah. I grew up always wanting to be a part of the industry and in the creative space. And, it was always a dream of mine. And then also like my mom loved it as well, just as much as I did. So, whenever you grow up, luckily, like it's something I've always wanted to do. But whenever you grow up, and like my mom and I just always had these dreams for myself, and she named me Emma Brooks as a stage name. Like that was literally like, I'm not kidding. Like she was like,
incredible.
if you ever decide to go that direction, then, you have your name. And I mean, I personally love Emma Brooks. So Yeah, I always wanted to. And I kind of started back in high school trying to put myself in a position where it could happen. Um, and that's why I quit dancing, was because I went into pageants full time, because it was like, there's a lot of pageant girls that have become models and that were a part of that world that did become successful. And there's like kind of two routes that you can go in the pageant world, but there is a way to kind of make it into the industry, and there's more opportunity there. So I did that. And then I started doing that when I was 14. And I also started shooting as much as possible. And I did every single local fashion week I could: Acadiana Fashion Week, Coastal Fashion Week, New Orleans Fashion Week, and just was kind of like doing all of the anything and everything to put myself out there. And I remember when I was 15, I was just about to turn 15, and I went to New York for the first time to sign with a modeling agency. It was like a modeling agency, but it was in my brain. I was like, oh my God. And I did my first, I did my first test shoot in Brooklyn. And that was like an aha moment for me. I was like, oh my God, this can happen. So I've always had a love for it, and I've always wanted it.
Do you know what drew you to it though? Like, did you see something on TV young or social media? Was it Keeping Up with the Kardashians?
America's Next Top Model.
Okay.
And was Tyra Banks. And I just absolutely adored everything about it, especially just because in that show at the time, sometimes when you rewatch it, it did not age well. Yeah. That's fine. But whenever I was growing up, whenever I was younger, I looked at it as such like a way of self-expression and as art rather than something commercial and something to sell, because that's what the competitions were. It was like to not sell something, but to create art with your body and with an image. And I just loved that. And I love Tyra.
Now that you're saying you love Tyra, how old are you? 21, 22?
I'm 22.
Okay. I'm glad to know that, like, because I'm about to be 31. I thought Tyra Banks, does she still host it now? Does it still happen?
No, I don't even think it's still around. I kind of tapped out after cycle 22.
Okay.
Yeah, and I kind of just
I'm going to pretend like I know what that means.
Yeah. I guess it means like season 22.
Okay, sure.
Really know one of their
I'm just happy you know who Tyra Banks is. Obviously, if you're modeling, you have to know who she is.
She was my first like supermodel that I looked up to.
That's
for
incredible.
Sure. Yeah, no, she's amazing. Also, like, she had a big forehead and I had a big forehead, so I was like, she makes me feel really good about myself.
It's funny looking back at like how you can see yourself and other people. Like, I loved The Tonight Show, and I would like fake asleep and wake back up and watch Jay Leno. Do you know who Jay Leno is?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, just making sure.
He's just making sure.
I mean, people now, if I ask a kid in high school, they'd probably be like, who the hell is that?
Yeah.
Jimmy Fallon.
Yeah.
But like, I love The Tonight Show. I just loved how he cracked jokes, made people smile. And so like, while I didn't do it exactly, I kind of feel like I'm doing it now, but in like a personal way.
You definitely have hosting energy.
Oh, well,
like
thanks.
The voice, everything.
Oh, thank you. It's not an act. It's just me. But yeah, I love that you found that inspiration at just a young age from someone like Tyra, and then you took it and ran with it. And you mentioned getting into it at 14, at 15 years old, going to New York for the first time, doing your first shoots in Brooklyn. But I have to imagine growing up in a small town in Louisiana, saying that out loud, people were probably like, what the hell are you talking about?
It definitely was not received well for a while. It was just like, it was also just, I think, deemed cringy. And I mean, obviously I look back at my photos and what I posted, but it's like, I was 14. Like, of course it wasn't like, it's South Louisiana. But, I think people, they didn't see it as like, oh, like, I respect that. It was just weird, and it was just cringy. And I was also posting on Musical.ly, so that didn't help my case. But from some perspectives, I get it, but it was also very unnecessarily mean sometimes. And I think that people kind of just were like, oh, she's weird. And also, I don't think people believed it would work out for me. So it was kind of like, oh, she's going for something that's never going to happen, and she's delusional and cringy at the same time. And my senior year of high school, I told everyone that I was moving to LA. I told everyone I was moving to LA before it even was confirmed. I was just like, yeah, I'm moving to LA. I'm moving to LA. I'm moving to LA. And yeah, I don't think anyone thought it was going to happen for me. I don't think anyone believed in me actually, and if you did, thank you. But I didn't feel that way. It wasn't really, nobody really made me feel that way. So I was excited. I think once I won the pageant, people kind of started to be like, oh,
this might work.
This might work, because then I started like traveling more and I started doing work outside of Louisiana. And so there was other things like that kind of were like, okay, maybe. But then I was like, I'm moving to LA. And they're like, all right, girl, come on.
Go do it. Yeah,
what are you going to do? How are you? Because I had a year-long internship in LA, and I like had 1 year out here to kind of figure out how I'm going to maintain life and like take care of myself.
Yeah, it's a task out here.
It's a task. And, I was 18, so.
Ooh, yeah.
I didn't know what I was going to do, but I, like 8-9 months after doing that unpaid internship, I ended up falling into the social media space, which truly kind of saved my life in a way, in my opinion. I'm dramatic, so I'm just.
No, it's.
But it's
honest
true.
and open.
It's true.
I want to go back to high school, because you mentioned that like no one took it seriously. Maybe people made fun of you a little bit for it, didn't know what to think. Did you go through a time being bullied? Did you have people kind of like just pick on you either on social media or at school because of this dream and this goal?
Yeah, I think that, high school was definitely a weird experience. There was a lot of things that were going on. I think the first 2 years, I definitely experienced things with people that were not ideal. They definitely weren't the nicest to me, and I didn't really get treated that well. And then I fell into addiction, and I was so desperate for kind of just, honestly, this sounds so sad, friends. I was so desperate for friends, and I was so desperate to be liked by someone, because I really struggled with making friends, and because, everybody had their groups already, and it was just kind of hard to break in. And I started doing drugs to kind of like bond with people, to like be like, hey, I have it and you want it, so we have to hang out. But it ended up biting me in the ass. Like, I got an addiction, so it really didn't work out that well, and I still got mistreated by people, so it didn't really work out that well. So drugs don't make friends, if that's a good message.
Well, that could be printed on a shirt. I'm someone that I've dealt with addiction too. I don't think I told you this before, but I've been sober now for like 15, 16 months, but I was an alcoholic. So like,
congrats.
Thank you.
Woo.
Yeah. Woo. LA is the place to be sober.
Exactly.
And I'm not California sober. I'm like sober because I like, and people do you. I don't care what you do. For me, I have to be like sober because no matter what it is, like this sounds crazy, but like even like pills to help me go to sleep. Like I enjoy like the drought. It's so weird, but like when you're an addict, it's okay. It's strange.
You and everyone's different, you know?
Thank you.
I kind of skipped all of they're like weed is a gateway drug, and I just kind of went directly into the hard stuff. And I never had a problem with alcohol. It was always just drugs, which is fine. I've been clean for now 4 years.
Oh, that's awesome.
Which is great.
Congrats,
I got clean right before I moved to LA. I mean, I had to. I was at rock bottom. It's crazy because it's, I had the work aspect, like my dreams. And like for that, that was the one thing that I had that really kept me going. And it was the one thing that really grounded me and made me want to keep going. And it was the one thing that I would put drugs away for. And it really did save me. So that's like why I think I take it so seriously. I take my work so seriously is because it was what really saved me in the end. And because I've had 2 hospital trips. Fun.
Me too.
So
So the club, yeah, go us.
Yeah, let's go.
We're crazy, yeah.
No, so and like during both of those times, like what I had was like I was looking forward towards my future. I was looking forward towards this dream that I had, and I just take it so seriously now because of those things, and I never want to take it for granted. So, yeah, but high school was very interesting. I definitely, wouldn't change any. I don't know if like you kind of feel the same way about. It's like hard because it's like I wouldn't change anything that's happened. Like it sucked so bad.
Yeah, I talk all the time at like high schools, colleges, events, and people ask me in the crowd all the time, do you regret anything or do you wish you could change it? And like, I wish I could take away the pain and the suicidal thoughts that I struggled with, but I wouldn't take away like what I experienced or what I went through, because then I wouldn't be sitting here with you. I wouldn't be me. And so I feel very strongly about that. And I'm curious because you mentioned the words rock bottom, and this is a show where you just be as open as you want to. Like, it's a safe space, but I get it. People have boundaries. I respect that when it comes to their stories. But for me, like rock bottom, I knew it was like I didn't want to live anymore. I didn't know how to. I needed help, and that's why I checked into a hospital. Can you look back to what your rock bottom was? Did you struggle with suicidal thoughts? Did you hit like what was that rock bottom like?
Yeah, my rock bottom. Well, okay, so the first time I went to the hospital was for suicide and like a bunch of a whole list of things. And the second time, like, yes, it was for that. Yeah, it was for the same thing, but it was also like my way of getting clean. My rock bottom was me literally, I was doing things to myself and I had no regard for my family. I had no regard for myself. I was just at this place where I was honestly, my body was literally falling apart from how misused it was. And I was falling apart, and I started to not care as much about what I was doing and who I was hurting and if I was hurting myself. And I was starting to not think I had a future. And I also was really close to my future being taken away from me, that I felt like I had nothing to lose. And it feels so weird, but it was like such like a spiritual moment for me. I was literally driving home from Baton Rouge, actually, because my grandparents had lived there. And I was just like, I was aware that I was doing things that I was not proud of. And I was like, I need someone to stop me. And because I had no self-control and I had no discipline, and I knew that I was just going down such a bad path that I was like, I literally was just asking for help out loud. And then my mom is the one that clocked me, and like I finally had been checked for everything I had done, and it was all brought to light, and it was an entire thing, and I wanted to die. And then I got checked into a hospital for my last time, and then I got clean, and then I went to, and like that was kind of like my rock bottom. It was definitely not my proud. I didn't have a lot of proud moments, but no, I just, after that I really spent a lot of time just kind of like making up for what I did. And I don't know. It was weird.
No, it's a journey that for anyone that's experienced what we're talking about, like those suicidal thoughts, not wanting to be here. Like I look at who I was 2 years ago.
Oh my God, yeah.
I don't even recognize that person.
No, the person that she is not here anymore. That girl is so far away, and I'm glad.
Yeah,
like,
it's a good thing. Yeah.
And like, not to say she wasn't a bad person. She just was not in a good environment and not a good headspace. Like, she never had malicious intents, but she just didn't treat herself, like, she just was not kind to herself, and she was not surrounded by good people that didn't really make her as kind. I don't know. She just had such a negative outlook on life sometimes. And I think that there was a lot of things that go into it. She was young. I try to give her grace. I try to give as much grace to my younger self as possible.
Yeah.
I'm saying that like I'm old. I'm 22. But no, the past 4 years, like you said, like even 2 years ago, I'm not that girl either.
It's crazy how much you can progress in time.
Yeah.
But you have to put the work in.
Yeah, so much work, and it's so painful and so hard. And it's so fun, and I love it so much.
For everyone that's just listening, not watching the show, she is smiling, laughing while saying it.
It's so fun. I love it so much. No, like there's no you don't just grow.
Right.
You have to like try to grow.
If the person in the mirror doesn't want to make the difference or doesn't want to make that change, it's never going to happen. So I give you all the credit in the world, and obviously your mom and your family that helped you through those moments. But like you realizing I have to change, I need help, and asking for it, and actually like, you know, receiving it and putting those things into motion in your life, it takes a lot when you're struggling at that rock bottom. I like I said, I talked to a lot of high schoolers, so I'm just curious, and I graduated high school in 2011, so I'm a little bit older than you, so high school's changed. What were some of the challenges? Obviously, the cliques you talked about, you mentioned, and I get it, like I used to drink and smoke weed in high school, and maybe other kids couldn't have it, and so I was able to like hook them up, and it helped. Like make some friends. I get it. But looking back, what hit you the hardest in high school that kind of made you feel like you were alone? Was it the shaming of the career goals? Was it bullying, social media stuff? I'm just trying to like pinpoint, I guess.
No, I definitely had a lot of shame, but I also had, you know, I didn't have a support system really. Like I never had, like I didn't have people that I felt safe around, and I didn't have stability in my life, and I didn't have, I was also just, I know I was in a lot of situations where I was just put in a lot of situations where there was a lot of things said about me, and you know, not to say that all of them weren't true, but there were a lot of untrue things that were said about me, and I felt like I had no one to back me up, and I felt like no one believed me, and I was misused by men, honestly. Like I was put in so many situations with men that ended up with me just, sorry, I did not expect, I just didn't have anyone to kind of believe me. So that sucked, and it made me feel really alone on top of like everything else. So I feel like so much happened in 4 years there, but I just didn't have anyone on my side, and you know, not to say I was perfect or anything, that I wasn't in the wrong, like, but I just felt really, really alone.
I'm going to tell you a story that I don't know if it relates to what you were going through, but it was my rock bottom in high school, which gets me a little bit emotional because now you're crying.
Sorry, I did not expect to cry.
It's okay. That's the point of the show. So that's good that we're opening up. But I started sharing it because a lot of high schoolers, and again, I don't know what you went through, but a lot of high schoolers go through this. As a freshman, a girl and I had sent photos back and forth to each other.
Yeah.
And I never told anyone, never said anything. She had sent me, I don't know, maybe 15 or 20. I sent one. I remember staying at a football game in the front row and seeing everybody on their phones, and then see people looking, laughing. I knew exactly what happened, and it was one of the most, maybe still the most traumatizing moment of my life. And that was the first time I ever felt alone, didn't want to be here. Like, it was so like just traumatizing. I didn't know, I couldn't talk to anyone about it. Like my teachers like had heard about it, but no one was asking me how I was doing. I had 2 friends that were really there for me, but they didn't ask what was going on. They just like invited me to lunch or to sit with them at a football game when no one else would. But like that moment completely like changed my life. And now I know a lot of, because I work with doctors and psychiatrists and mental health professionals, it's a very common thing for a photo to get sent out or something to put on social media. And unfortunately, within 2 or 3 hours, a high schooler, or even sadder cases, even younger, takes their own life because they think it's the end of the world.
Yeah.
I just wanted to share that vulnerability because in that moment, like, I felt the same thing with girls in high school where I had that happen. And then it was like just the end of the world in my mind. I didn't know what to do.
Yeah. No, it definitely, I mean, and that is where it's just like when you're in high school and you have to just be with these people every day and you're made to feel that way and you just feel so like it does feel like the end of the world because you don't know anything else.
Yeah.
That is your world, and it's just you don't realize that there's so much more out there, that there's so much more opportunity, and that there's the possibilities are endless. And it really is upsetting because it doesn't set you up for success, because there's also just like your environment is everything.
Yeah.
So it is just really sad. And I wish that there was more resources and more support while it's happening.
Yeah.
And like a lot of kids don't get that, and it's just really disappointing, and really sad, honestly, because it's sometimes it's honestly gotten worse. Like in my town, like there are things that have happened that I'm like, oh my God, like that would never, like there's just some things that were brought to an extreme in kids that are in high school now, and I'm like, oh, like wow.
Yeah.
Like it's so sad.
Well, when it happened to me, I like there was no Snap. This is gonna sound crazy. I was on MySpace. This is real.
Yeah.
We had just got cell phones. There was no Snapchat. It was like, it's so wild to look back at that. But you're right. There's so many things that like make kids feel alone or go through those moments.
Yeah.
And if I can dig one more time, and you can tell me no, but like the emotion that came from you there, answering that question about feeling alone and going through something, was it you just like looking back and kind of there's an experience that like just kind of flashed back, or a moment in time in high school where like you just went through that stuff?
I think it's honestly, yeah, I think I try to, honestly, it was just, I don't really talk about it too much, I guess. Like it just never gets brought up, but just, it just honestly was such a dark period, and it does, like, I just feel sad for her. And it just was a kind of consistent thing that happened. There's a couple scenarios that pop into my brain, but it's just how alone I felt and how sad it was. And I just kind of, I'm sorry that it happened. I don't know. It was hard.
What would you tell
Her?
that 14, 15-year-old girl?
I would tell her to go sit in the library and read and not talk to anyone, and that it's fine to be alone, and to just stop while you're ahead. Just stop doing things. No, I honestly, yeah, I would tell her to pick up a book and read, because I love reading. And whenever I first got diagnosed with depression and anxiety, I was 12 and I had just switched schools, and I really didn't know how to like socialize that well. Like, yes, I did, but like I also didn't, and it was kind of weird. And like my safe space had always been reading, and I love to read, and I read in all my classes, and it really was, I spent so much time in the library, and I love to read. And then when I went to high school, I stopped reading completely. And like I did summer assignments, but like that's not the same. And I just stopped, and I wish that I would have kept those hobbies that have centered me now, instead of literally doing drugs and getting in trouble and not being not putting myself in a position of being happy.
Well, I'm not a therapist, but
No.
It's healthy and unhealthy coping mechanism. That's what you're describing out loud.
Yeah. And it just like, also just like my need for validation and my need to be with other people, like with friends, and to be accepted and do things that I thought that would make me accepted, or being friends with people that just like did not the best things. And, you know, so I wish that I would have kind of kept to my true core of, you know, because I was like such a goody two shoes. I was such a goody two shoes. And I remember whenever I first moved to, no, whenever I went to high school, like that was like a thing that I got picked on because I had never cursed. So like I just remember someone running up to me and be like, "Hey, Emma, you're a bitch." And then I wouldn't know. And they're like, "See, she doesn't even know how to respond to that. And she doesn't even know what to do. She doesn't, look at her. She's such a goody two shoes." And so that's when I kind of was like, all right, well, watch this. And then
Go ahead and say every cuss word you want right now, if that's
say
okay.
whatever,
Yeah.
say whatever you want. And then I was like, all right, well, I'm gonna start doing drugs. And and then I then I kind of like went away from who I was as a person, and then I completely went away from her. And I wish that I could tell her that it's okay to enjoy books, and it's okay to want to be like a little nerd, and it's okay to not want to do those things that you did. Like, it's okay.
Yeah.
But
Well,
yeah.
the validation that you're talking about from other people, searching for the happiness or the acceptance from things outside yourself, it took me until honestly like a year and a half ago
Yeah.
to like realize that I'm not going to find it chasing this relationship or this job, or like you have to find it from within.
Yeah. And I had a lot of like issues. Like I had like abandonment issues and daddy issues. And I think like a lot of things came from that, and whatever. She went through her thing. I also had like, whenever I talk about it, like I'm just like, she was so young. Like she's so young and she just had no idea. So that's where my grace comes in. Like nobody's perfect, and it is what it is. I learned so much from her. And I think that when things like that happen, when you are put in situations like that, and when trauma happens, because there was a lot, like it goes one or two ways. Like you either can like come back from it, grow from it, make up for lost time, and just become a better person, or you can just digress and move backwards, and maybe you get better, but maybe you're not a good like maybe you're not the best or maybe you're a good person, you don't make the best decisions, like whatever that is. Yeah. But I am really proud of how far I've come and who I've become and what I've done to kind of make up for that time of my life.
I can take this out if you're not comfortable talking about it, but was your mom a single mom?
Yeah.
Okay. How, like, that seemed like that bond and not having your dad in your life, like it was kind of, I don't know, perfect storm is the wrong way to say it. It was like something that contributed to maybe.
Oh, 100%. My home life wasn't my home life is kind of, there's definitely some weird dynamics there. But, you know, like my mom, one thing about her is that she has always supported me getting better, and she always supported my dreams. And like my sister was my rock and has been my rock forever, even through the times where I was literally just not me. And like maybe I didn't treat her the best, but she was always like, she's always stuck through it with me. And like I will always forever be grateful to have had her or to have her, you know. But yeah, definitely home life is such a huge part of it all.
Sorry, like, I just like I'm like, I tell people when they're talking about interviewing people, like you have your questions, then you have to listen to what's being said. And it's like you said small things, and I go, wait, there's other things.
Yeah,
that, like,
you are getting all the things that I've never deep dived this much before on a podcast.
I'm sorry, that's like,
no, it's okay. I mean, I'm fine with talking about it. I think that, you know, it's definitely, this is my own experience, and I'm okay with sharing it. I think it's important. I think that because I just know I'm not the only one that's been there.
Yeah.
You know, like there's so many people that have been in either the same shoes as me or are in the same position as me. And I don't know, there's something just so humanizing about the human experience in that regard. And I want to share it.
Yeah, well, it's powerful when you do, and I think that's why I created the show, so that people can listen and they go, oh, I can relate to Emma's story. I'm going through the same thing now. Like, oh, if she made it, I can too. Asking for help is something Emma and I have both talked about throughout this conversation. We both struggled when we were in high school, 12, 13, 14 years old, struggling with those suicidal thoughts, depression, and anxiety, and we had to ask for help. And that's why I want to tell you about Man Therapy for all the guys listening, or maybe the ladies that have boyfriends, husbands, brothers, fathers that maybe aren't as open as I am when it comes to talking about our mental health. Go to mantherapy.org and find some amazing tools and resources for the men in your life to really figure out how to best take care of their own mental health and know it's okay to be vulnerable and to go to therapy and to ask for help. They have their 18-point head inspection, which is a quick 2-minute test that asks us men basic questions about our everyday life, what we're going through, a little bit of our mental health to help us best take care of our mind, our body, everything that goes into our own mental health. Again, go to mantherapy.org to find those amazing tools and resources for the men in your life. As we know, suicide can be tough to talk about, but that's why the Happiness Project is helping break the stigma. After losing their classmate Nick, his friends knew they had to do something to help save lives. So, the Happiness Project was born, a clothing brand to raise awareness for both mental health and suicide prevention with t-shirts and hoodies just like this to start a conversation and let people just like you know they are not alone. To learn more, follow at Happiness Project on social media and use the code MENTALGAME at happinessproject.com for 15% off your first order. For me, that's what's cool too, looking at your story is like, you're only 22, but like back then, the knowledge that you have to like ask for help, and I know you struggled some, we all do in high school, and when we were first going through those depression, anxiety days, the suicidal thoughts, but once you like get a little taste of getting help, you see it works. And it definitely changes your perspective. And I know the goals and the dreams of working in the industry and modeling and getting in entertainment like was always what motivated you. And so it was really cool too. Your story, once you started getting some help with mental health, it became part of your journey through pageants, right? Like mental health is your initiative right away.
That was my platform. Yeah. I mean, so the first time I competed, 2 weeks before I competed, I went into the hospital. So my mom came to me because I was under my 72-hour hold in the psych unit. And my mom came to me and she asked me if I still wanted to compete or if I wanted to pull out. And I decided to continue. I was like, I'm going to continue to do that. Like, I'm going to go in 2 weeks. Like, I'll be, because I was in there for 9 days. I was there for a while or for a second, and I competed and I got second runner up that year. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, oh, let me do this again. But whenever you do pageants, like you have a platform, like something that you just care about and that you're just really passionate about and something that you know a lot about and really want to promote. So whether it's you have a family member with dementia, which that was almost my platform because I had my great grandmother had dementia and it runs in my family, or whether it's like someone did like bone cancer or scoliosis because they had that and whatever it may be. But I was like, mental health is like something I've struggled with a while, and I'm going to do that. And then I went to the hospital and I was like, all right, this is 100%.
I'm the mascot for mental health. Let's go.
I was like, I'm 100% going to do mental health. So
sorry, we deeply care about mental health, but when you're talking about this stuff for a half hour, you do have to you
have to laugh at some point. Oh my God. Yeah. Humor is that's
my ultimate coping mechanism.
It has to be there's no way that you can talk about this stuff and not laugh about it from time to time. Like you got to crack jokes.
Yeah.
You have to.
Like I would love to do stand-up one day, and my friends and family are like, they don't understand how I never cussed or said something inappropriate on TV because I'm a mental health guy now, but like I got a very fucked up sense of humor.
Well, yeah. I mean, especially because if you go through something, like you want to crack a joke about what you went through, you know?
Well, and the problem is I can't, I wouldn't be good at it, I don't think, to start, but like I can't do stand up now because I have this show where it's like
Mm.
you can't tell people, hey, love and care about someone and then make fun of somebody in the front row. It's like not it's not smart
Yeah.
for business, I don't think,
Yeah,
or personally.
maybe not.
But
But
sorry,
like whatever you're on, maybe you can crack a joke or two. But
yeah,
like,
sorry, I got us off topic, but
no, it's of course.
I love that you picked mental health right away as your platform, and
Yeah.
it's something that's been near and dear to your heart since. Do you think the connection between modeling and mental health and it being your platform and your motivation and this goal that people said you could never achieve, like, do you think that all fueled into where you are now today?
Oh, 100%. Oh, and I was so scared when I first moved to LA because I was like, oh my God, the amount of shame. I have a problem with shame, but I like was so scared of like having to move back to Louisiana and proving people right. Like I was so scared
Mhm.
that I was going to prove everyone right. And I was like, I have to, I would really need to figure this out because I can't face that. Like after years of like dealing with, um, all of that ridicule and just shame for like wanting what I want and wanting to do what I
Yeah.
wanted to do. Like I was like, there's no way that I don't figure this out. Whether even if I didn't do what I was pursuing, like even just figuring out a way to like live in LA, I was like, I have to do something. Like there's no way. And also I knew that Louisiana wasn't my forever home.
Mhm.
I do miss it. Like I love New Orleans. I love the culture, the food, the music.
Not the summer's heat.
Not the summer heat, but I do miss the really beautiful days and like the nature, like the
Mhm.
water. Like
Oh my God, it's beautiful.
it's amazing. Like there's so many memories that I have there that are absolutely amazing, but I knew it wasn't where I wanted to live forever.
Yeah, well, and it's to leave home, especially at 18, and take a chance on your dreams, and then to succeed at them and win, and like fill those childhood dreams you always had. It has to be the best feeling in the world. And so for you to be out here and get an internship unpaid for 8-9 months a year, and then you take the chance and live out here and start working. When did you start finding success out here? Was it, you mentioned social media? How did that change your life?
Yeah, so I was doing my internship out here for 8 to 9 months, and then I started social media kind of like on accident. Like I've been posting for a while, just like for fun and for, you know, shits and gigs, but I was doing that, and then a couple things started to kind of pick up and I started growing, and then I met my manager who truly was my lifesaver, my lifeline, but she's also like she became my person so fast.
Yeah.
And we the day she started managing me was the day that my life started, and it's been amazing. Like not the fact that I get to work with my best friend and work so well together and have become so successful together, and then we just like I have this life now with so many amazing women. That's like probably like one of the biggest parts of my life now is that I have so many women in my life that are such a huge support system. And it was like, I was like, oh my God, like I finally have
Yeah.
women in my life that I can rely on. But I know she definitely is what changed everything for me, because my internship stopped. And the day that it ended was the day that we signed together or started working
Wow.
together. So then obviously we started working, and I started to be able to, you know, take care of myself. And then I moved into a house with a bunch of girls, and we did that. And then who were still some of my best, like will forever be my forever friends. But yeah, we started working together, and like that's when everything started. But social media is what changed everything, because, you know, one, I was able to take care of myself financially, but two, it's you become your own brand, and you're able to work towards the goals that I had set up for myself. And I honestly moved to LA. I thought it was going to be very traditional. Like I thought I was going to get signed to a modeling agency and struggle a lot more, but I just got very fortunate with the way that everything happened, and I will forever be grateful for that, because I don't know where I would be. I don't know. I can't picture my life in any other way. Honestly, it's been truly amazing. I'm very grateful for that.
It's crazy how social media, obviously there's things that, and I want to touch on this with you, that can be negative, what people say
Yeah,
about you
of
and how
course.
you look, but like the opportunities of, and I've had, Terry Crews talked about it with me a few months ago. Back in 2011, he did a Facebook Live about his porn addiction, and like people
Yeah.
shamed him. And then like he realized how many people it could help. I had, Jack, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I had Jack on maybe 3 or 4 months ago,
Mhm.
and he was like, "Yeah, I was just dancing on TikTok, and then all of a sudden my life happened." And it's like, it's crazy how that can work. But then he started talking about mental health and things he cares
Yeah.
about. Now he's getting into acting. It seems like for you always had the dream of modeling, but social media gave you the chance to chase those dreams at an even higher level. What are some of your favorite things that you've got to do so far?
Honestly, okay. So I think one of the first big things that happened that was like insane to me was I did one of my first campaigns. I did a campaign with Paul Mitchell,
Oh,
which
nice.
was a brand that I had worked for a couple times in the smaller level in Louisiana, but two, I had been such like a dedicated follower for so long, and I loved them, and I became really close with like the CEO and got brought in for and I was the face of their clean beauty campaign.
Oh, wow.
And I got my first Times Square billboard with them, and like it was just like crazy because it's like Paul Mitchell ex Emma Brooks, and seeing myself there, and also just one like creating the life that I have, but two, like kind of just fulfilling all of my old childhood dreams, especially with the fashion world, and being so involved with the fashion world has been so fulfilling and like just kind of like rewarding, and I get to do so many things, and I'm so lucky and I'm so grateful, and I get to meet so many people and be in so many rooms that I just would never believe that I would get to be in.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been crazy. And I just shot, like, for example, like I work really closely with Dior, and it's like, what? Like I
What's
just,
life?
no, it's crazy. And like, even, no, there's so many moments. I'm sorry. My brain is
No,
like
you're
trying to
good.
pin, but I am, yeah, especially the fashion world, the fashion side of things. It's been amazing to talk about mental health on such like a bigger platform, and to kind of be so open, and, um, books have become a really big part of my life again, and there's like so many cool things that I get to work on now with that, and I get to meet authors
Mm.
and have so many conversations about it, and everyone reads. It's so amazing. Everyone's reading again, and
Yeah.
then I get to be in these cool rooms, whether it is a fashion, like more of a fashion space room, or whether they're actors or whoever, they're behind the scenes, or PR, we all get to talk about books, and it's lovely, and I love it. Yeah, I got to go to the Emmys this year, and that was insane. That was
Yeah.
one of the coolest experiences of my life, because I'm also getting into acting, and like just like being able to be surrounded by so many people, and like I milked it as much as possible. Like I stayed there the entire time, and I just like walked around, and I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. Um, but it was just really cool. There's just so many like little moments like that I'm like,
That sounds like my first time, like when I was in like an NFL stadium, and like you have all access
yeah,
and you can go wherever you want, talk
exactly.
to any player, and I'm just like, holy shit.
Yeah, it's just like crazy. Like it doesn't matter. Like I think that you just have to, you can't just like act like these moments are little, and like yeah, like I'm here, and like just like not like you have to be like, wow,
Can
like
I cuss?
this is cool.
It's the
Yeah.
fucking Emmys.
Yeah. No, it's true. And it was, I left my dress. It was amazing, do long, and it was so cool. It was such a moment, and I loved it so much. But yeah, there's so many cool moments. And then also, I think what I'm most grateful for is just the life that I have here. Like I have such amazing friends, and I am able to take care of myself, and I'm able to be with my family, and it's just, I'm in such a better place, and I'm just really proud to be there. I don't know. My support system is definitely like what I'm so, yeah.
You seem really like just happy.
Yeah. And there's been so much that's happened over the past few years that have been like, you know, like I literally just got out of like a 2-month long like chronic anxiety, like nauseating anxiety kind of just like episode. And I still deal with like the mental health struggle, but I try, like I take my wins.
Yep.
And I think gratitude is what really grounds me and keeps me kind of centered and like reminds me of where I'm at, because like you can get caught up in your emotions still and like forget things that are like happening.
I had a 4-hour panic attack on Sunday, and it's like
exactly, like it still happens, and there's still shitty things that have happened and like do happen and that suck, but you know, that is life.
You have the tools and resources and know how to like you can experience that in the moment, but you know what to do next.
Yeah, and definitely, and it's still like my work is like still what keeps me going in so many ways. Like I make myself busy because I need to be busy or I'll go insane. Like I keep myself occupied and I keep myself working and I keep myself busy, and I try not to dwell too much. I also do weekly therapy and I'm medicated. So I set myself up for success for sure. Or at least I try to.
Yeah.
But yeah, still have my moments, but it's fine.
We all do.
We all do.
Like you said, therapy, medication, and I say this almost every week. What works for me and you, because I do the same thing, might not work for somebody listening or watching.
You of course, everyone's different.
Yeah, you got to try. Maybe different therapists, different medication, different techniques that can help you through those moments. We have talked for a long ass time, but it's been great.
Yeah, sorry. I know. I don't know how long you typically go.
Usually anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour and a half. So just somewhere, we're in between that ballpark.
Okay.
But I had 2 more questions that I definitely want to ask. Number one, like goals for you. You have like achieved so much at a young age. God, I'm sounding old now. I'm sitting with my legs crossed. I'm like,
it's okay. Same.
But I'm like old and my hairline's receding. It's tough.
You're not old.
But anyway, it's like you've achieved so much, and I love hearing how happy and proud you are of yourself. Are there things that like are just bucket lists that are just at the top of the list you're hoping for?
Yeah, I mean, definitely like right now, like acting is definitely the biggest thing for me, like getting my SAG card and like really going for that and being in book adaptations and really getting myself into the book, because books are being adapted literally. They are becoming so big in the film space, and I just really need to get into that, and like I really love it. And so acting is definitely the biggest part. I think that I'm still dreaming, and I think that the fashion world I'm always striving for more there because I just love it so much, and kind of figuring out my space in the mental health world and like how I can contribute to that. We have, I'm working on like a book club right now with an author that I just like absolutely adore, and like kind of growing that out and building a community is like something I'm really wanting to work on. So book club, acting, fashion, it's kind of like everything.
I'll talk to you about this off camera because not a lot of it or most of it's not public, but I'm working currently on something where for high school and middle school students with mental health that I think you'd be interested in. It's just like you said, creating a community, giving them space and tools is so key. Last thing I'll ask you is advice for maybe a girl in a small town in Louisiana, Ohio, where I'm from, anywhere that has like those big city, big career dreams, and maybe is experiencing some of the same things you went through, where people are putting them down or maybe not giving them a chance. What advice would you give somebody that wants to do what you're doing?
Yeah, I think it kind of goes back to the first one. Like, I think patience and grace is just so important. And I think that, giving yourself the time to process and be emotional and cry it out and find what works for you is so important, but also just remembering that it does take work and effort, and to just like find what works for you and stay true to yourself and just put yourself first, and like remember that it will be okay. It will get there. You just got to be patient, because you're gonna have your highs and you're gonna have your lows, but definitely just keep pushing, keep keep dreaming and give yourself, like, literally keep dreaming and keep putting all of your work and effort into it, and just be patient. Give yourself grace. I believe in you.
Patience is the theme of the episode. It's the first time I've had somebody go from first answer to last answer, like connect them with one word.
I just believe it much.
Yeah.
Like, patience. Like, I say it every time. I say it. I know I repeat myself every time I say good. Patience, but I just like, it's what got me through.
Well, thanks for your patience during this interview. For everyone listening and watching, thanks for listening. This has been really powerful. It's been great getting to know you. Good luck with everything. Thanks so much, Emma.
Thank you
for coming on The Mental Game. We'll see everybody right back here next week.
Bye.
And that was such an amazing conversation with Emma. I can't thank her enough for coming on The Mental Game and really opening up about her mental health journey, her professional journey as a model. I mean, she came out here to LA at 18 years old from small town Louisiana. She is the definition of chasing your dream, going for it, and just finding that success. Can't just thank her enough for coming on The Mental Game and really opening up about her mental health journey. And I'm so proud that she's able to make it out here in LA. I loved that conversation. Coming up next week, another surprise guest. Your one hint, sports. Going back to sports next week, right back here on The Mental Game.